Hello, on this particular problem found on page 229 as well in your geometry textbook, this is problem number 3 found in section 4.2 on page 229. And as we look at this particular problem, it's asking us to identify congruent triangles. Now, in this particular section, there are other ways, but we're specifically looking at side, 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 or side, angle, side, okay? If it's not one of these two, we're simply just going to write not enough information. Now, there are other ways to prove triangles congruent, but we're specifically looking at those two. So let's look at problem A here. If I looked at this particular problem, I see a side. If I continue on, I see an angle, and then I see another side. Over here I see that same side, that angle, and another side. So that means I would use side, angle, side because the two pairs of corresponding sides and their included angles are congruent to each other, and that's enough to prove that the two triangles are congruent. Okay. If I look at B, I see that I have a side, an angle, and a side, and here I have a side, an angle, and a side, but the angle is not between the two sides. So I can't use SAS as I could for this one because this one is angle, side, side. Okay, so I would have to put that there's just not enough information because the two pairs of corresponding sides are congruent, but one of the angles is not the included angle. It is here, but it isn't here. And so therefore there's just not enough information. Okay, look at C. I have three sides of this left triangle matching three sides of this right triangle. And so I would use side, side, side to prove that the three pairs of corresponding sides are congruent to each other. All right. Then finally D, I could use side, side, side because I have three sides of one matching three sides of the other. But I could also use side, angle, side because this right here, these are vertical angles. That means they're across the vertex from each other, and they're always congruent to each other. So if I put a mark right here, that is always congruent to that. Okay? And if that is true, then I could do side, angle, side, just like I could pick side, angle, side over here. I know that looks a little messy, but actually you could pick either one for this particular problem because either one of them would actually work. Okay. Now let me lower this just a little bit. Let's look at the got it together. Would you use side, side, side or side, angle, side to prove that these triangles at the right are congruent to each other? Okay. So again, I could have a situation here where it could be both because I do see an angle here. However, the angle here is between side 1 and side 2, whereas here the angle that's given is between side 2 and side 3. That does not make them match up like they need to be able to use side, angle, side. So we would use side, side, side for this particular problem. And that's because I do have the three angles of one matching the three angles of the other. Sides, excuse me. So therefore I could use side, side, side in this particular problem. All right. And the reason I couldn't use side, angle, side is because the angle that is given is between two different sides on the two different triangles. So therefore that eliminates that as a possibility. So I would pick side, side, side. Hope this was helpful.